And then on my levels, I might, since this is the extra geometry, I'll just put a top apart. And then I'm going to go to wireframe, rectangle. Let's try this. I'm going to see if I can draw a rectangle. I'm going to anchor to the corner here like this. You see it snapping? I'll just draw a rectangle. Okay. But it's not centered up, so now I have to center it. So I might go to transform. Let me start over. Watch this. I'll do a little different here. So create wireframe rectangle, and maybe I'll just freehand it.
Yeah.
Like that. Now notice I drew it on the center line. Yeah, I drew it on the center line for a reason. And the reason is that when I go to transform, translate, hold the shift key down and get the whole box. When I translate it, I'm going to move from the furthest side away from that line to here. But then come over here to my D.
Divided by 2.
Very good. Divide by 2. Enter. Now it's centered. Now it's centered.
Nice.
Put the green box. And let me show you, I'll show you something else here too. We have these offsets. Basically it's like creating if I want to create a parallel line, I can create using an offset, or I can go into wireframe and create a parallel line. I'll show you both. This is example, kind of next chapter info, if you will. Is this making sense? You like this? Good stuff?
Yes, sir.
So, parallel lines. It's going to ask me how far. Maybe I'll go 60 thousandths. 60 thousandths. Now, what it's wanting is it wants me to select a line. So I might select this line here, and then I have to tell it where. And you can see how it bounces back and forth. So I can draw that wherever I wanted to. I could draw it here. I could select that line. Now it didn't. Now notice it moved. It's floating now on its position. So if I come over here and reselect the 60 thousandths, if I'm going to do a bunch of 60 thousandths, I can lock it in, hit that little padlock, and then I can go around and make parallel lines all day long at that 60 thousandths because I locked it in. The other thing you might think about is if you have a bunch of lines to do that to, I'm going to Control Z, get rid of it. If I have a bunch of lines, I might say, you know what? Transform this offset button, chain or single entity. I'm going to just go with the entity here. Entity. And my distance, I'll make it 60 thousandths again. And here I'll click on the part, and then I got to say which direction. So I'll click over here. This one, I click over here. This one, I click over here. So it does the same sort of a function. And the chain, now notice I had to click each one at a time. If you had a bunch, like if we had a contour, like our tool path, and you wanted to make a tool path away from the part, for example, or just to copy some entities away from the part, we can select this chain, and it's going to chain. Now I have a bunch of interruptions, so it's not going to work real well. Let me show you. Let's see. Oh, where's my tool path? Well, if I wanted to chain, let's see what we can grab. So it's going to chain Well, when it, okay, it did the whole thing, there it did. So I thought that these vertical lines might interrupt it. Like a toolpath, if that was a toolpath, it would interrupt it. But it selected the whole box. Select OK. It says select the offset direction. I'm going to select it to the inside. And it says failed. Why did it fail? Can you see my screen from back there? See this number right there? 500. That means it's too far. So it's like if you wanted to, if you had a 2-inch diameter and you wanted to offset the diameter more than an inch, it would go past the center and it wouldn't work. So you have to, you can only collapse it or offset it less than half. So this number is too big right here. If I make it 60, see, look at my little line?
Yeah.
Let me click it OK. And let me just clean this up real quick here. Trim. This one to here, this one to here, this one to here, this one to here, that one to there. And then I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff. There we go. So here's our basic part. So I did this to kind of get caught up with you guys. That's where you're at, Ken, right here. I was just kind of showing them some extra ways of creating some of the lines. So now that we have this, we have a second part for our program. I might call this a different level, say, I don't know, 7, pick your favorite number. I'm gonna call it an insert. And there's a couple ways we could do this. Why don't we go ahead? Here's one way we can do this. We can draw right over the top. We can draw right over the top of our entities. When we made that toolpath the other day, we copied the toolpath up, put it on a different level, and brought it back down to its position. That's one way. This is another way. What we can do is we have our level 7 is where everything's going to be drawn at. I'm going to select wireframe line, and then I'm just going to draw lines. So I'm going to draw a line from here. See, I can move it. I'm going to click it to there. Start another one there. Click it to here. Start another one there. And click it to there. And I might, just for reference, I'll put one more here. Put one here. Notice it kind of clicks into the 0, 90, 270, and 180 positions. I'm going to put one right there. Just for reference. You'll see that why in a sec here. I'll put the green check. Taking off?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you're welcome back anytime. Have a good, safe trip.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.
Sounds good. We'll probably see you next week.
Okay.
I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay.
I gotta work on side B still, so.
Sounds good. Tomorrow from 10 to 11, we have a guest speaker down at the other lab. So if the class is locked up, stop by. They might be bringing lunch.
Down in Marks?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I look so different under the one over the
Yeah, that's a reference. And the reason I did that is just so I can mark where the top of my part is. Okay? So here's my top of my part. And this is the start of my drawing for my insert. Okay, so you're making an assembly. What kind of a fit are we going to have? Between the two mating parts, your assembly, what kind of a fit?
Not quite a clearance, because clearance is a couple thou.
Give me an example of a clearance fit. What's a out in industry, a typical clearance fit example would be,
Like a bolt in a hole.
yeah, a bolt and a washer.
Yeah.
Bolt and a washer clearance fit. So there's two other types of fits. What's the other two types of fits?
Interference and, what do they call it, when running or something?
Transition.
Transition.
So what's an interference fit?
Where you have, it's like a press fit, right?
Yeah, like a press
Temperature,
fit.
yeah.
Here's a fun fact of the day. You're familiar with knurling. Knurling. Diamond pattern knurling is typically aesthetic for tactile purposes, for handles and grips. Straight knurling is typically used to facilitate interference fits on two pieces. What happens is when you straight knurl apart is it actually grows that diameter a little bit, and those little teeth squish as you push the two pieces together.
Cool.
So-
Probably adds a few thou, huh?
What's that?
It probably adds a few thou to the diameter, huh?
You can, yeah.
Cool. I need the program.
Okay. Can you, do you know Ryan? Ryan's the other gentleman at the other mill working on that project. Can you ask him if he please wouldn't mind to see if he has the Vice Job program on his flash drive you can borrow from it. So this is going to be my insert. So I'm on level 7 for my insert. And I want to make a little step. So this is all we're getting into the aesthetics of it, for example. So I want to make a little step here. So maybe I want to go and create a parallel line to this one, and maybe I'll make it 100. And I'll make it this direction. And I'm going to stretch it out a little bit. So modify length, and I'll just put an inch there. I don't know how long it needs to be. And now remember, when I click on it, it's going to grow on the end where I'm closest to on my cursor.
Can you redo again? I
Okay.
think I'm missing something. It's not the same line.
So did you get this line?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So I'm going to create a parallel line, wireframe, parallel. I'm going to put in 0.1. Click on this line, and then over here it'll ask you what side to put it on, see? So come over here and click. Green check. And then I want to lengthen it out. I'm going to cut all the way across. This will maybe make more sense in a minute. So modify length. I have an inch. Now this is again where you visualize the center point of your line. If I click to the end closest to it, away from that center line, it's going to go down. If I click up here, it's going to go up. So I'm going to click down. There, it shoots my line across like that. Now, when you have two mating parts, and if they're both sharp corners, if I have an internal part here and an external part here, talk to me about the critical nature of this corner intersection here.
It is important.
Why, yeah. What's the,
Well, it won't be able to go in all the way.
yeah, we're likely to have some interference.
With the tool, yeah.
So, a lot of times, the mating part, the internal part, we'll put a fillet. That was nasty. That's a little better. We'll put a fillet there. Does that make sense? I'm gonna make it bigger.
Yes.
We'll put a fillet there, so that it's nicer. Now, most of your lathe tools, the turning tools and stuff, you're not really going to end up with the sharp corner here either, are you? You're likely to if we drilled this, if all we did is drill this, or drill it and maybe bore it, we'd probably end up with a little bit of a fillet, and then possibly a taper to where our drill point went to. Does that make sense? So we're gonna have to do a little fitment test. We're gonna have to fit our part in there and do some calculations to determine how the top of the part fits to our body. But the important point here is we want to make sure we have some clearance. So here, I'm going to put a fillet in here to make this nice. Make sure it fits in there nice. So I might say fillet 30. No, let's go ahead and make it 60. So here to here, here to here. Green check. And now I'm going to blink my top of my part on for a minute. So you see, here's my, oh, let me do this one more thing here for you. Watch this. So if I select everything and go to home, right here at the wire color drop down menu, maybe pick red. So I changed the wire color, and I did that because now,
Oh, we need chain of color.
you don't have to, I'm just showing you can, because now when I turn on and off my top of my part, I can see a little difference better. Does that make sense? So I can see the difference. There's my insert, the start of my insert, and there's the top of my body. Okay, so what I want is I want to create a little step here on the side. So we're going to, let's choose, what do you want to do? We're going to create, you want to create a parallel line, or do you want to create an offset? Your choice. We showed you both of them a minute ago, now we're going to do it again. Reference? So let's say parallel line, and we're going to go with maybe 60. I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to do more than just one, so I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to put this little padlock on it. I'm going to click on this line, this direction, this line, this direction. Click it done. Okay. And now I'm going to, let's see, what else do I want to do? Where's my center line? There's my center line. Okay. I turn this on so I can see where my center line is. So now, so let's clean this up a little bit. I'm going to go to trim, and I'm going to trim this one to here, and this one to here, like that. And click OK. Here comes the big fig Newton. Ready? I'm going to create a circle, and I'm not going to put any numbers in here, but what I do know is I want the center of it to be on this line somewhere, and then I'm going to bring it out maybe to there. You know, I can bring it out further if I want to. I'm just here again where I'm way off into creative land. Okay, maybe let's see. We'll try there. I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna just click on it there. And I'll click on done. Now watch what I'm gonna do here is. Let's see, what would make it, I'm going to take and trim this line to the circle. This is going to establish an intersection point. Intersection points are important. Here's why. So now if I go to transform and translate, I'm going to translate this circle, move from, I'm going to use that intersection point I just made, down to here, the top of my part, and click on done. Now if I go back and clean it up, wireframe, I'll go divide, so I divide this here, and then I go back to trim. Trim this one to here. I'll go, wait, we want to divide this one. And trim this one to here, this one to here, this one to here. And that looks good. I'm going to get rid of these. Get rid of that one. There's my little, now if we go to our top of our part, see my little insert, there's the body of my insert.
Yes.
As it's drawn, it looks like it's a little too deep inside the pocket here, huh? So we could do a couple things. I just kind of freehanded it, and that's how it came out. We can go back and we can make this arc, you know, tighter so it sticks out more. We could take and select everything and move it maybe 50 thousandths, and then look at it. So see, it brought it up some, and of course
Yes.
at that point we would want to modify our bottom of our part number here.
Yes.
And when you make this, now when you actually make this portion of it, let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to make a toolpath for this portion of it. Where's my, I'm going to move this back so the tip of my part is right here at Z0 for programming purposes. Transform, translate, from, I'll click in there, click on my origin, green check. Okay.
Oh, I have a question. On mine, looks so different.
It will be, because this is the portion where you choose
Right.
what it'll look like.
That's why
Is that if you program it right, there's very, very little deburr. How do we accomplish that? Here's how we accomplish that. When you have this part like this, say you want to create a little terrace, and you fill it here, but then these points here are going to have burrs, aren't they? With Mastercam, you go in there and you go, you know what? I'm going to give it a little 15 thousandths radius. I'm going to give it a little 15 thousandths radius.
Yeah.
And now, when you actually part off the tool, part off your part, really, and this is a creative, how would you do it? Deburr, okay, so if this was, where's the part at? So we're going to take our tool here and part it off, cut right along that red line. You can actually take your tool and program to cut a little radius on the back side before you completely cut it off. So I spoiler alert, right? I gave it away. But that's the beauty of lathe programming. You can break the edges in your program. This takes a little bit more finesse to make it happen. But if you're running a production run that's cranking out 20 parts every minute, that's excessive. But you kind of get the idea, is that, you know, the less work you have to do with it afterwards is bonus at that point. If it just takes, if it takes a negligible amount of more time here. Hey Ryan, did Aiden ask you if you had a program? No? Do you have a program in it so there's no deburr or very, very little deburr is one of the biggest benefits of running the lathe. And this, Ken, this is so you can make this different however you want to. I was just showing, this is what I did on that little part in the other room, for example. Once you have this, let's make a little tool path for it here. So